Call the meeting of the Griggs County Commission to order. This is June 22nd at 2:30. All rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. Averill.
Here.
Tranby.
Here.
Zorn.
Hold on one second.
Pending. Edlund.
Here.
And Wakefield's here.
Hello.
Rod, you're on speaker.
Rod, you're, as I can hear you, you must be here.
I'm here.
Okay. Very good. All present in person and Rod on the phone. Have a look at the agenda. Pretty full agenda by time-wise. We're not gonna get over everything, of course. We're just gonna have to do what we can do and kick the rest on the road a ways.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Nothing, okay. Motion by Tranby to approve the agenda. Do I have a second to that?
I second.
Second by Edlund. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda approved. A little housekeeping item here. Some mix-up. The pounding of the gavel does not end discussion. It just pauses discussion if it's getting heated. And the only way that we end discussion is by approval of the majority of the people involved. So if I get out of hand, you get out of hand, anybody gets out of hand, that just puts a stop to it, and we regroup and start over. As happened last meeting, that worked exactly as what it's supposed to. So there's no need for panic if that happens. It doesn't end discussion. It only ends, an agenda item only ends when we as a group decide to end. Enough on that. Take a look at the June 8th meeting minutes.
Jamie, can you hear me? Jamie, can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect, thank you.
Any discrepancies, grammatical errors? Everybody had time to look at the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you. Motion by Tranby to approve the meeting minutes as presented, I assume to waive the reading?
Yeah, as presented, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And waive the reading, yep. Well, do we have a second to that?
I'll second.
Second by Avery. Any further discussion on the meeting minutes? Barring no discussion, we'll move on to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Minutes approved. If you'll have a look at the bills. Samantha, anything stand out on the bills?
No, there was just one. Let me find it for you. Here. Heartland Consulting Group, for $19,400. That's a miscellaneous in and out. The state will be reimbursing for that, so it's coming out, and then we're waiting for reimbursement.
And what were they consulting on?
Multi-hazard mitigation plan. Heartland wrote the multi-hazard mitigation plan for us.
Okay. That's the 4-year mitigation plan, 5-year?
Yep, 5 years, yep. And so we have to start working on it again in 2 years.
Okay. And that's gonna be 100% reimbursed?
We do have in-kind funds, and that, as of right now, we're about $500 short. But Heartland is looking at all their numbers and seeing if they forgot anything that they can, so that the county will not have to write a single check.
So, what is the normal percentage? Is it 10%, 50?
10%.
10%. And in-kind, by in-kind, you mean work that we've put in and paid
Correct.
for? Okay.
Yep.
Best participation in the meetings, our planning meetings, so it takes into account the time of the community members that have came to participate with the meetings, their travel expenses, anything of the sort that goes in the in-kind. So, that's why it's super important for everybody that's a stakeholder to show up for those meetings, because it does help with any payment that the county has to make.
Okay. Insure Forward, is that a larger bill than normal?
I don't
31,000?
think so.
Maybe it's combined, maybe that's why.
Make a motion to approve the expenses.
We have a motion to accept the bills as presented, by Stephanie Heflin. Do I have a second?
I'll second
Second by Tranby. This will be a voice vote. Aye if you approve, nay if you don't. Avriel.
Aye.
Tranby.
Aye.
Zorn. Rod.
Aye.
Aye. Edlund.
Aye.
Wakefield votes aye. The bills are approved. So, we have some information on a DES grant.
Yes.
If you'll fill us in on that, that would be greatly appreciated.
So in early 2023, DES applied for a grant that was roughly based almost about $50,000. We were awarded $45,000. What is included in that is a 2-factor authentication as well as a password manager. So this is all being covered at 100%. Originally, the state was going to pick up the original, the county was supposed to be pay the other 10%, but the state is now going to pick that up. So there'll be no expense to the county themselves. The only thing is that as of July 1st, we would have to get new quotes. So what I'm asking from the commission, 1A, to accept that we can accept these funds as part of the grant, and B, for us to pay for these services now, and then so that we don't have to get new quotes due to the fact that pricing is going to increase after July 1st. So we did receive quotes from different places, and one of these places was actually under the $10,000, so we did not, found out today from Debbie Lacombe at DES that we do not have to get 3 quotes on one of the services that are under the $10,000. So the total is $45,000. It's $33,603.98. No, I lie. It is $9,100 and
That one plus
so it's $28,998.89 and $9,781.
38,000. So what does this do for us? And is it,
I'm going to have Travis
is it,
explain that.
and is it mandatory? And is there any ongoing expense to it?
Yeah,
So,
that's what I want to make sure we cover
Yeah.
everything, so you guys are aware of everything. So there's two sides to the project that I was requested to give pricing on. One is the two-factor authentication and password manager. That one is the $9,100 one. That includes the YubiKeys. Those are actual devices that will be issued to all the employees, and any system that actually supports it will be then enabled to use that. And the idea behind that is it's what you know and what you have for your password then. So when you log into a system, put your username in, put your password in, and then you have to put that key in via USB and actually touch it. So that's the additional two-factor, additional step to get authorized for that. So, and then the password manager is ability to be able to create complex passwords and then manage them in-house then for all the employees then. So they're not writing them down somewhere or putting them underneath something they're not supposed to or so forth. Now the password manager, that is the cost is going to be ongoing then. So the license for that is $940 or $920 per year for that. So the grant does pay for the first year, so that'll be covered for that. The county then would be responsible for the ongoing license.
$920.
$920 for that, yeah. So, and I did submit that in the IT budget for consideration for 2024. The second part is the network switches for the county. Those are actual devices that all the computers, phones, all the equipment plug into. Those are end of life, so the company manufacturer is no longer supplying firmware for those. With this grant, one of the primary functions was it to address any security concerns. So any equipment that is no longer getting security patches is top of the list then. So that cost is included to replace all the network switches in the courthouse for that, labor and the equipment to do that. So what Andy was talking about was DNA submitted a quote, and then 2 other companies also submitted a quote for that, since it was over the $10,000 mark on that then. So, and I believe DNA's was the lesser for that equipment.
Yes.
And so when would it be installed?
I guess once, I think we're waiting on one signature from IIJ or from that group.
Yep.
If that is approved and signed off on, then if the board accepts the grant money, we would then issue the POs for that. That equipment would be probably within 6 months would be deployed and installed, barring that there's nothing that's back ordered or for that then. So
Right. So there's a contract, I'm sure, associated with this. When we buy the equipment, I mean, we're gonna sign a purchase order, they're gonna sign a purchase order, we're gonna accept it.
yep.
So can't the terms for payment be negotiated in that? Why does there need to be, because we don't have money for it, of course, it hasn't been budgeted. Why do we need to pay now when we can confirm that we're gonna buy it and they haven't give us the equipment yet anyway?
The equipment needs to be purchased from the distributor to lock in that pricing. They won't honor anything beyond that. I guess we could look at if there's a third-party leasing company, or if we're going for that, I guess, if you want to go with it.
Well, that just adds more expense to it.
Yes.
Technology is not gonna change.
No. So this, to my understanding, I guess I'm not sure reimbursement schedule, like how long it takes them to reimburse something, but
They want to know that the equipment has been purchased. We have to send them all the invoices. It has been purchased, has been installed. It did say on the report that they might ask for pictures as well,
okay.
that we do have it.
Oh, verification that the
Correct.
stuff was actually done, so.
Right.
So it has to be installed before it's reimbursed?
Possibility. There was like different qualifications on it, and it said that one of the qualifications was asking that there's actually been pictures of it being installed and being used.
Mhm.
I don't blame them. I'm for it. Yes, because it doesn't get any cheaper, so.
No, and that's just it. If we don't, I guess if this grant is denied, that equipment does need to go down on the IT budget for recommendation for replacement.
Right.
So,
So I make a motion to approve the grant, to accept the grant?
I guess the only caveat we have to make sure is we can't, or Grace County can't actually pay these invoices until we actually get
His signature.
signature off from them. So,
Yep.
so I guess that's the only thing, but I think, like Annie was saying there, the cutoff time for the rebates here that we've quoted here end this month then. So we're looking for preliminary approval, say that actually does get signed off on, then Samantha can actually issue those checks in upon that.
No,
They're very sticklers about that has to go in that order, so I don't want to jeopardize anything, and nor does Annie, so.
so do you want two motions or one motion to approve grant and purchase that equipment?
Excuse me?
If we accept the grant and purchase the equipment?
Yeah, we have a motion by Edlin to accept the grant and purchase equipment. Is there a second?
I'll second
Any discussion on the matter? Where will the money come from? Jamie, any ideas?
No, I don't.
Could we use the general funds and then when the money comes back, replenish the general funds?
You understand what the general fund is? There's not a big pile of money in the general fund. The general fund is the authority to spend money within the offices that are in the general fund. There's not a pile of money there. The problem is going to be the money's going to come back after we're out of this budget cycle.
Do we have any money in the reserve fund right now?
Oh, that's what I meant, the reserve fund is what I meant.
Yes, well, we don't know because the reserve fund comes into play when we get to the end of the year and it pays back everything we've overspent up to that point. So we'd have to have an estimate on where we're at right now, but we don't know what is going to be overspent. That's the whole purpose of the reserve is to, well, you know how that works. So if we spent the reserve fund down to a point that we didn't have a reserve, it could put you in trouble.
Can we use in the COVID funds at all, John?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. When the money comes, I don't know how we can treat. Probably not. We probably can't treat that as an in and out fund.
What?
But we probably
What about the
could.
building and maintenance fund?
Yeah.
What's in that?
Building and maintenance.
I guess what have we done previous times for grants? Because they would be considered in out, right? Because it's going to be reimbursed, except for ones that are not 100% matching, I guess.
We've always been given time to include them in the next budget cycle. So we've budgeted the money. It hasn't been done mid-cycle. Not to this extent, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some.
You would be budgeting for, like, if there was a 10% match, then you would have to budget that 10% to cover that.
Well, we've never been that I'm aware of put in a situation where we had to come up with monies in the middle of a cycle in order to be reimbursed in the next cycle. I don't know how that exactly works. What's in see, because the books will close out at the end of the year with that, and
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
and when the money comes back in, it can't. It would have to come. It would have to come back into this year. So would have to revise the closing, and then it would go back into whatever general fund if we took it out of
Yeah,
there.
because we can't guarantee that they would reimburse us this year,
Correct.
just not knowing.
So you
There's some
can't
uncertainties outside
without
of
a
our
special
control.
fund. You can't treat the general fund as a multi-year in and out fund because it isn't. It's cut off on a yearly basis. Is there?
Maybe we have Sam check with Harold and see what we can do if that would.
When
I think that might be the best way to do it.
If we gotta have it by the end of the month, then we gotta get this approved today.
Yes.
The pricing would be, end of quarter pricing
quarter,
rebates.
end-
So everything would have to be recorded
Requoted again.
I can't guarantee you be the same pricing, but generally what I've been seeing is price increases. I don't.
How much would it be total?
29,000, and then 9,781.
Approximately 50,000, I think, or just shy of 50,000 for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the biggest one is just the equipment itself.
Yeah.
So the 28,000, approximately 29,000, that one we would need to issue a PO by end of this month to actually qualify for that. The other stuff that could be pushed back because that's labor from DNA, and then the other stuff is we keep in stock. So we've already have that purchased, so that could be floated for a while.
Yeah.
But the equipment itself, that's not something we would be willing to let float.
Yeah.
Let me look here. This will have the ending balance on this one.
There is 177,941,000 in the reserve.
Yeah. Yep. So could we get by with the 28,000 for now?
Yes, if we can get that check at least approved, then the remaining stuff we would bill out to Griggs County upon completion of when we actually get the funds. So if it is this year, it'll get billed out, you'll be just getting it out. If it's next year, we'll invoice it that time.
And this was written to the DES?
Correct, it was.
And does the payment need to come from them, I would imagine?
Yeah, payment will come from DES,
It
from the
will,
state.
it's back to it. Okay, and then, okay, so just thinking out loud here, so the money needs to be transferred from the reserve to the DES. The DES needs to write the check to the state,
No,
to the provider.
correct, yes,
Then the money will come back to the DES from the state,
yes.
and then the money needs to come back from DES to the
Reserve,
reserve. Is there any
yes.
problem with that?
On our side, I don't think so.
No.
Because what will happen is then we'll at that time invoice out all the labor that we did to install those switches and equipment and the other invoices. So up to that approximate 49,000 then. So you will receive that approximate $49,000 check from DES.
What's the exact figure?
$28,998.88.
28,998.88.
28,998.89.
89, you're right.
And 9,000.
Well, we're just gonna do the one for now, I think.
Yeah, that's the one that would need to be
Yes.
approved, or
So
the
if
PO
we,
needs to be submitted by.
if we give this, transfer that to you now, we'd still be able to eligible for the full grant at least.
Yeah, the grant is still, the grant has been approved, that's not.
Okay.
That's not in question, it's just getting the current pricing at this quoted price then.
Okay.
So if we didn't go forward and actually put a PO in by end of month, then those prices are invalid after that, and we have to
Okay.
requote it.
Okay.
And I don't know what they will change their pricing to it. Is it gonna be the same, is it gonna be cheaper, is it gonna be more? My guess would be more, just based on, I haven't seen pricing going down. But I can't say that for sure, I don't make sure.
But usually, regardless, usually when you gotta requote something, it's because the cost of everything went up, so you have to raise the price. No, I understand. So,
Yeah, you especially you.
So we have a motion put forward and seconded on, pending right now, that motion won't do what we need to do here. We need to have a different motion.
You want a motion?
Well, first of all, we have to resolve this.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to resolve this is let it die,
Okay.
or vote it down.
Okay.
Because what we're gonna have to do is we're going to have a motion to move the money from the reserve to the DES as a loan,
Yeah.
and then
And just for the 29, just
for the 29,000,
yeah,
right,
just for the amount that you wrote down.
right.
Okay.
So we're gonna vote on the original motion, and I don't know of any way we can do that other than vote that down,
Okay.
and then we'll have to have another motion. Could you read back the original motion? Do we have that?
Motion by Edlin to accept the grant funds and purchase the equipment, seconded by Tramby, and called for discussion.
Okay, there's no price or anything, okay. All in favor of that motion, we better, all in favor of that motion, we'll have a voice vote. Avriel?
This is for the first one to
The first
stop
one,
it.
yeah.
Then I vote nay on the first one to stop
Tr-
it.
Tranby?
Nay, two.
Zorn?
Nay.
Edlund?
Nay.
Wakefield, nay. Motion fails. Now, Stephanie. That one, that number. From the reserve to the DES.
Okay, motion to reserve, or to transfer 28,998.89. Got that? Oh,
I'll just take the paper when you're
okay,
done.
from the reserve account to
Thank you.
The DES
DES
fund, right.
fund.
Yes, and with the caveat that this is a loan, these funds will be returned.
Yes.
Only get, in a due term, we'll get the grant, correct?
Yeah, that's the understanding.
Okay.
We have a motion by Edlin to transfer the 28,998.89 from the reserve fund, the 2023 reserve fund, to the DES. This is to support a grant, upcoming grant for equipment. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that one.
Second by Tranby. We're spending money here, so this will be a roll call vote. Aye in the positive, nay in the negative. Avriel?
Aye.
Tranby?
Aye.
Zorn?
Aye.
Edlund?
Aye.
Wakefield votes aye. Transfer motion approved.
28,998.89. Thank you.
Okay. That should settle that for now?
Yep, so I gave the invoice to Annie, she'll give that to Samantha. The biggest thing is that does not get paid until I actually get that letter of acceptance from the IIJA grant applicator. So Annie will be in contact with Samantha, I would assume?
Yes.
Okay. there's sticklers on that, so we wanna make sure we're not jumping the gun or anything.
Before they received our letter, or before they received the signature.
Yeah.
And then once we got back the approval, then we can pay it.
Perfect.
And then, yeah, once we go through and get all the equipment ordered and actually finish the project and submit for reimbursement,
Correct.
that's when DNA will invoice the county for the remainder of that then, for that project, so.
Then they will tell me if they want pictures or what they want
Yeah.
as proof that the services are being used and the supplies are being used.
What kind of timeline, Travis? for being-
When I did the quote here a couple weeks ago, everything was in stock. So I'll put as soon as we get that letter assigned, like I said, I'm not gonna have to do any paperwork until Andy gives me the okay. We'll put that in. That is coming, I think, directly from the manufacturers. I would say 1 week to get that in, and then I would say within 2 months we would have that programmed, installed
Okay.
for that send. So possibly sooner. It's based, since we actually have to take the network down to install stuff, we'll have to schedule that with after hours work, which to make sure we're not stepping on anybody's toes for
Yeah.
sheriff's office and any other office that is working after hours or anything else that might be going on, so.
I think you figured all that into the bid you said.
Yep, so the quote we gave that is a full encompassing bid, so that includes all the work to get it done. So there's not gonna be anything above and beyond that, it is a bid from our company then, so.
Because I know sometimes, like I said, I've dealt with my end, well, it's like, yeah, we bid it for this, but now we gotta go in there after hours, so it's gonna be more, that's right.
And understandably, that can happen, since we do manage this network here, and we actually installed this previous equipment and the wiring, I'm very confident we'll be able to complete this price then, so. Alrighty, and I guess for information, this grant is gonna be a 5-year, so we get to reapply next 4 years for equipment. I'll be working, Annie will be working on, if there is anything that comes up for that. Next year, it's a 20% or 20% that the county has to come in, where the state will be matching 10%. So I guess that's a question I guess we need to look at too, is if we are planning for this in budget season, you know, what we should do maybe, so we're not running into this problem we had today then too, I guess. And I'm not sure what that answer is, but
Yeah.
just FYI, I guess, inform you, so.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you.
Anything else on the DES?
We probably should mention really quickly, the hospital and nursing home will be moving on Monday. And utilizing, the state's emergency services. Annie is actually gonna be gone for an appointment, and had a prior commitment at Nelson County for our courthouse active shooter event. But I believe they'll be using, DES as a simulated flood event to evacuate the former hospital and nursing home for moving to the new nursing home.
Okay. So on the budget, on the agenda now, we have the county tax equalization, but I was informed that Grant Stanglin won't be able to meet with us today, and he's probably gonna withdraw his request
Okay.
anyway, so I think, just for simplicity, we should just move that tax equalization meeting to the end of this meeting.
Okay, but it's always open though, the tax is,
It's open.
it's always open.
It's open. We haven't done anything with it.
We
We're
never
just,
close it.
from an agenda standpoint, we're just gonna move
Yeah.
it to the end of this.
And when does it have to be, when does that finally have to be closed? How long we have?
I think it was August something, wasn't it?
I have to send in
Something like, right?
there's another form that needs to be submitted.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I actually, yeah, I think we
Okay.
need to, I think we
Yeah,
need
that's fine,
to
John, we put it
redo
to the end,
that.
that's, I'm just, when it's done, yeah.
Okay, so we'll skip over and we'll go to the budget now. I think the best way to do this is to go through and look at the budget and find budgets that there's no discussion on, and go through and approve all those. Not approve them, go through and just get them out of the way.
Okay.
Whittle this down as we slowly go. For those who've never been through the budget process before, it's the purpose of the budget is to make sure that the citizens' money is spent providing the basic services at the minimum price. And it's for the benefit of the citizens and the citizens only. Everything else in the budget is secondary to that. So of course, the way a budget starts is just decide, look at last year's budget, how much money was spent in total, and decide what is going to be spent either in excess of that. Are we gonna try to spend the same amount of money, or are we gonna spend less? Because of course, a budget isn't go through and, okay, we want this and this and this and this, and add it up, and that's not a budget. A budget is give and take. So the first thing we need to do is determine what is the health of Griggs County economy, and what is expected of us as far as the taxpayers. Do the taxpayers expect us to raise the amount of tax that we're going to levy upon them? Do they expect us to keep it the same, or do they expect us to lower it? And this isn't on a, you know, there's gonna be people on all sides of those, there's gonna be people out there on all sides of those three issues. And our job is to, the people we represent, is to try to assert what the majority opinion is of those people. They want higher taxes, the same taxes, or lower taxes. And then we make trade-offs going through the budget, depending on what we determine we're going to do, we make trade-offs to try to achieve that. You know, if we raise something here, do we make a cut here? I mean, that's the whole purpose of any budget. And this is the sole responsibility of the 5 commissioners. This is not a negotiated process with the other elected officials. This is the sole responsibility of the commissioners. Input comes in the form of the department heads presenting their budget. And if we have any questions on that, they're here to answer those questions. But the determining factor on what money is spent is the majority opinion of these 5 people. So moving forward with that, what are your thoughts on what is the state of the economy? What is the state of the citizens? What do they want? So right now, as we look at this budget, if you go to page,
Up in the right-hand corner, you'll see it's Schedule A. So it'll say Schedule A and then your page numbers. And so then if you go to Schedule A, page 2, so keep going on that side, then that's your comparison as to last year and then the way that it stands right now. So then if you go all the way to the bottom, it'll say like right now it's projected to increase $313,894.54 for a levy. That's the levy.
So that's across the whole thing, and it's expected to raise that much?
If everything goes as it is right now.
Okay, so when you talk levy, that's the amount of money that we have to increase or to pay for, or is that the money that's estimated that's gonna cost us more?
That's gonna increase taxes that much.
right?
Okay.
So that the levy means the money that we add on to the taxes.
Okay.
So if you look at the bottom page, it's at the bottom of 2023 amount levied, it's $1,497,000. The amount levied in 2024 or projected levy would be $1,811,000.
And this doesn't include any salary increase.
No.
A few people did still give
Okay.
me a budget with their increases.
So as it stands right now, $313,894 of increased tax. And as Stephanie pointed out, the salary increases aren't in there. We have a salary, what's our gross salary for the county?
Gross salary,
Is it about $600,000?
I don't know that.
So right now, this stands at a 21% increase.
And that's not counted to everything else that we've talked about in the past, right?
As
Which
far
is
as,
salary and.
Salary, no.
And then now this too, and everything else, right?
right? And this is not included, the raise in valuations are not included in this either. So that would be on top of this. Do you have the gross salary?
Mm-mm. No, that would take me a little bit of time to. There is a page in the back, miscellaneous general fund salaries.
Mm,
Is there somewhere else that I gave you that number?
well, it should be in the budget for it should be in the budget for this. I know it's on the budget for the road department, and it should be in the general fund budget too.
Yeah, no.
then this,
There's
like-
just that one in the back, that general
And
fund
then,
salaries.
like all the grants, when they hand in their stuff, all the grants that they're gonna get, like let's say the road department, that's ex-nade from that.
Yeah, so the levy is, so the overall budget is going to be, the overall budget, where's the number on that?
That's your general fund salaries.
Right, and the road department's about 600,000.
Mhm.
Okay, so the overall budget number is what, Sam? Not the levy amount, the overall budget, the gross figure on the budget.
That 313,000.
No, the gross figure spent, including revenues coming in, not the levy amount, the total amount spent on the budget.
I'm confused.
All the requests from the different departments.
Yep.
It'd be on the expenses, the actual expenses, total expenses.
So and then this is based off just how much cost of living has gone up, general expenses going up, stuff like that. That's what this is based off of. What it's gone up in like the past year, or what? Or what
It's
is it?
not really based on anything, it's just based on the requests from the departments.
Oh, so what everybody has sent in on their stuff, and that's
Right.
all that. Okay.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure if there was a number, and then they just said, okay, it's estimated to raise this much, so we'll go off of that. So that's
No,
why I was
no,
kinda
that's,
curious.
right now, that's the number that. So, just to answer the question before, the general fund salaries. Is this a salary, 540,
Yeah.
with the benefits or without?
Without.
Without, right.
So then your benefits are down here. But there's not a total.
No, but the benefits amount to about, let's see, 120.
That's as of this
130.
year. That's this year's.
Yeah, 120, 130. The benefits always amount to about 30-some%, correct?
15. Can I see your budgets really quick? Point 26, 7.65,
Yeah.
8, and 2.3. Thank you, dear.
And where's the road department?
It's
The
in
salary
Schedule
in there,
C.
let's see, or that's
7B in Schedule C.
C what, 11? No.
C
There we go.
7.
Salaries. Full salaries. So 375. 375. Okay, so right now the so the gross salaries for all the employees, including 26% of the benefits, with the benefits involved there, comes to $1,159,200. So you can basically say that a 5% raise is going to be 50,000. 6% raise is going to be 7. I mean, on up the goes. So realistically, somewhere between 0 and 100,000, it would add to that number, that $300,000 number. So that was on page. If you look on, we'll just start at the start. Schedule A, page 1. And that just shows you the amount of monies that are gonna be levied out of each department. if you go to the next page, Schedule A, page 2, you can go down and you can see the increases in each department. So the general fund increased by $330,000. The clerk of court, for some reason, is in here an increase of 41,000, but it shows a levy of 41 and 24. Was there no levy in 23?
We don't levy for that one. The what had happened was in the past, the clerk of court contract was when it was in the general fund,
Yeah.
then, you know, it was there. When we split it out, the treasurer's department didn't, was still taking the clerk of court contract and depositing it into the general fund, not into the new fund. So we didn't have any of that revenue going into there.
So we're still gonna be reimbursed for this, though, correct?
Yes, we got it. We got $25,980, but it went into the general fund, not into the clerk of court.
But it needs to offset the levy, which will add to the levy in the
No, so
general.
this number should have been deposited into the clerk of courts, but they didn't switch it on their end, so it was still going into the general fund.
Right, but so it's gonna decrease, what's the number, 23,000?
25,000.
It's gonna decrease the clerk of courts increased levy by $25,000, but it's going to then increase the general fund's levy by 25,000. If you take it from one and give to the other, it's a net. So the overall increase in levy is still gonna be $313,000. Special assessments went up, I suppose that's the roads, correct? Yeah, that's fine, we'll just read them off. The county agent went up $13,000. Chemical hazard wasn't levied for before, is what it shows here.
I don't think we levied anything last year.
Okay. So the majority of this increase that you see here, the 21% increase, is almost all within the general fund. And the wages are, the increase in wages, if or decrease or whatever it is, gonna be reflective of the general fund too. So the special fund accounts are basically a wash.
The only one that we have not received anything back from is the library. I didn't receive her budget back yet, so.
So why do we have showing a levy on the library of $50,000?
It's a negative 50,000.
What's that?
It's a negative 50,000. You're decreasing it by 50,000.
Okay, because, why? Because they haven't
They asked for a levy of 80,000.
last year,
Yep. And so then it's a negative 50,000.
but they haven't asked, so why is the 30,000 in their amount levied in?
24.
Shouldn't their increase or decrease, shouldn't it be they must, how did the 30,000, what I'm saying is, how did 30,000 get there? If they didn't turn in anything, the decrease, or the decrease should be 81,000, correct? Or is that a carryover?
It's between the revenue of 2023 and the expenses of 2023.
Okay, so it's a carryover then.
Yeah.
All right. So, what did we actually levy last year for the library? 4 mills?
Yes.
Okay, so
They
then,
get 4 mils.
yeah. So then that $313,000 is going if the library is given the 4 mills that they haven't asked for yet, it's going to increase that number to $370,000. $364,400 to be precise.
The ones that are in Schedule E are like set mills mostly. And right now I have the taxable value as of this year's taxable value. So the 21,586,568. So then then this budget is cutting me off at those set numbers too. So if I increase the taxable value, that's then going to increase those numbers as well.
So just for rough figuring, if you keep in your head right now, we are looking at about a $400,000 increase from last year without the wages. Yeah, which is about a 33% increase without the wages. So there's where that stands. There's our starting point. The next thing to consider is the effect on the citizens of increasing, decreasing, or keeping them the same. Property taxes do not take into account money earned as far as a income or money lost. So somebody that buys a brand new home or has a home and owes all the money on the home is going to pay the same property tax as someone who has their home paid for. A business that is losing money will pay the same property tax whether or not it's losing or making $2 million. Property tax always affects the people that are least able to afford it. It affects the people on fixed income. It affects the people, the young families starting out. It affects the people that don't have a way of increasing their intake of money in order to offset the taxes that are levied. And it's not, again, it's not a very fair tax because it doesn't take into account income. So you can be very, very wealthy and pay the same property tax for a similar piece of property as someone who's going bankrupt. All these things have to be kept in mind. And it's a personal decision between you and the people you represent. That's what it comes down to. We don't represent, other than on a one-to-one basis, we don't represent the employees, we don't represent the elected officials, we represent the citizens, and our interaction is supposed to be to their benefit. And you have to keep in mind that if you ask somebody, would you pay for this out of the goodwill of your, or do you think it's worthwhile, that's really the answer. If I want to do something, if I want to build a road and you went to ask all the taxpayers, well, would you willingly pay for this? And they say yes, well then it's pretty easy. You levy the tax. But as you know, anything we do here comes with the penalty of not paying your taxes, which is loss of your property. So, sobering, it's not as easy as just going through and saying, yeah, that's a good idea, we should do that. It's a sobering thought. It affects people's way of life. It can affect their health. It can do a lot of bad things to them. And we're supposed to be here to do good things. So we'll move forward from there. So the next pages are the revenues. Those will change, I think. I don't think we have them all in place. If you get to B4, that's the expenditures from each entity. And it'll show the year-over-year changes. Just a reference point. That'll all be reflected in the individual budgets when we get there. B5 is just the expenditures again. Anytime anybody has any questions, just speak up. I don't see anything that's gonna be germane to our discussion until you get to B9. We have nothing in the district court. Well, we can start here. So B7 is the
That's your
first
guys'
actual budget that we have.
Yeah, that's your guys' budget.
That's for us. It's been a blank page for the last 11 years. We've done this pro bono, and I think there's good reason that it was done that way. The exclusion of the commissioner's budget in these last 11 years, considering the raises in the mill levy and the fact that the budgets were going up, utilizing the full mill, in 2 more years we'll have paid for the courthouse. The money saved from the commissioner's budget will have paid for the courthouse. So that was kind of the reason behind it. It's we can put that off till we get to the end, and then we have to sit down and decide what budget we're gonna have.
Just an idea, I'm thinking of, can we put like so much a meeting, like $50, like a nominal amount? That's kind of what I was thinking of doing, I'm just floating that idea out,
No, that's what this is for.
I know it used to be $70,000 a year, I understand that.
Well, that was
Yeah.
11, 12 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm
under the
looking at just a minute amount, just enough, you follow what I'm saying,
No, everything's open to
Yeah.
negotiation or discussion.
so. Something to float idea out there in that one, so.
So again, the reason it wasn't done
Yeah.
is pretty straightforward.
Sure.
It was. You wanna let everybody think about that, and we can put that off until,
Yeah, that's fine, just float that idea out so you guys,
So that'd be about 6,000 a year.
yeah, that's what I'm, nominal amount,
okay, district court, we have nothing there.
District court, that's the one that got moved out of the general fund.
Yep, so it'll show up in E or in C?
C.
C, okay. Auditor, so this one is identical to the last year's budget and without the salaries being negotiated yet. So I think this one can be marked as acceptable at this point and moved on. We don't have anything to do
If
with it.
it's the same.
Yeah.
Because when we settle the budget, when we settle the salary thing, it will
Yeah.
apply to all the.
You
different
okay
budgets.
in office supplies and stuff like that, Sam? You okay?
Yep, I think the $1,000 is good for office supplies. My dues, in 2022, I only used $100, and that's because our association has so much money. So
Reimbursed you?
so we actually, got to do half of our dues, so that was nice.
Okay.
They did do that again this year, so I will have an additional $100. I don't know that they will do that next year, so I didn't want to budget the $100. I wanted to keep it the $200. So
Okay, on to the, thank you, Sam. On to the treasurers, that looks like the same deal. So I would think we would accept that for now, move on later.
You okay, Maddie, with that? Okay.
state's attorney. Is the same thing.
Jamie still here?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
So the state's attorney, we can.
Everything's
That-
been pretty good on your end, Jamie, for everything.
Yeah, the only thing I think I changed, I think everything other than the salaries, I think this is at 4.4% as requested. So everything else is the same.
Yeah. Yeah, well, on this, you didn't have a salary increase. You had, 23 you had the same salary in 20, in
Oh,
24 as
okay. I
23.
apologize.
Yeah, not, so that,
Okay,
this,
sorry.
that'll be for future. So the recorder, that one has a change in dollar value, so let's move that on.
That's just because of the salaries.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's move this one on. Let's see. For further review, we'll get this settled, get this whittled down so we don't have a whole bunch of stuff to go through. Schedule B 13.
That's your tax director's budget. I kept it the same, but that is up to you guys as to.
I think it needs to be moved to a full-time position. Once we get a full-time tax director, I think it'll be a full-time job, especially if they need to be the tax director and assessor.
Okay, we'll review that. We'll move that one for review. Then that's disputed. Custodian. Looks like it's acceptable. It's the same dollar value. Schedule B 15A. Let's see, where were the increases here, Sam? Elections.
Elections.
So we have a big increase in elections, went from 2,000 to 21,000
Because then it's an election year.
election year. We have an increase in postage associated with the same thing, I imagine, mailing out the
Well,
ballots.
what I was looking at is the 2022 actual expenditures was $9,112.
Got it.
So that's why I
Put that.
put that at the 10.
Okay.
So unless someone sees a reason to review this one, I think we can tentatively accept it and move on. I find it, everybody.
Yeah, fine.
General expenses.
Continue.
That's a total coming forward.
Usually you guys had 25,000 in the patrol vehicle. Bob does have that on his side, so I didn't want to double dip, so I did take it out of the general expenses on this side.
But, so why did it still go up? What caused it to go up? Oh, the 318, you added it onto there, I see.
And this just continues from the page before,
Yeah,
so it's
okay.
still the election.
So that 318 was a subtotal.
Yep.
Good. So we can accept that. Social Security, that's just the,
Those are formulas from
Yeah.
the salaries. Those will change as salaries change.
there we go. There's no problem, we can accept that. Schedule B, page 17. It's almost 100% increase in the technology information budget. That definitely has to be reviewed.
I do have the reasonings for some changes if you'd like to go through those.
Now, let's put it off
Okay.
until we get to a point where we whittle this down some. Insurance, what increased on the insurance here, Sam?
Health insurance. Oh, no. Insurance. What in... job service and social and Job service and workforce safety, those will change with salaries.
The new courthouse went from 9,000 in 23 to 90,000.
Oh, sorry, that's me. Sorry, that's just a typo.
Figured that.
I was
Did we
like,
get that quote finalized for the new insurance for the building?
That's a huge increase.
yep, you guys paid that today.
That was
Or no, it's gonna be 7,000 for the new courthouse with State Fire and Tornado. I just got the bill today. So.
That's what the
So
that's
it's a-
what the decrease, the new.
So it's gonna decrease and not increase, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
We can do 7,000?
Do you want? Well, it's 7,000 and something. You guys will approve that at your next meeting. I don't know if you want to just keep it at the 9. I mean, it's 7,000 this year. I don't know what it'll be next year. I do have a email into Amber on that to see what our quotes would be for next year, but I haven't heard back. So,
Maybe hold off on that one then too.
Yeah.
and sorry about that. That's not 90,000. That's with my fingers.
Well, I seen that, I was like,
So on 8, on Schedule A, page 1. Isn't that on here, Sam?
No, it's in the general fund.
Oh, yeah, is it going to decrease the general fund by $80,000 then, the levy?
Yes.
It should, yes.
Yeah, so now you are at $228,844.54 over and above last year's.
There.
See?
Sorry about that.
If, no, that's okay.
No, we like mistakes like that.
If it was all that easy, we could just keep going through. So, this 90,000 comes out of there,
Yeah.
and it's replaced with the 9?
Yes.
Okay.
That's if you want to keep it at the 9.
Well, if you can get a more accurate number, I mean, maybe it's down 2,000. You know,
Right.
you can use every 2,000 you can use now.
Right.
Pretty wishful thinking, huh?
You never know.
Yeah, might not. Sheriff will review that. That's 120% increase in the sheriff's budget, asked for. Coroner,
That stays the same, but like he says, kind of hard to budget for dead people, so.
Sounds bad to say that.
well, they say that's the best thing about a coroner. You never go out of business. We're always dying.
that says nobody left. DES, B, page 21, it appears like that's just can be approved if no one, tentatively approved, I should say. Unless somebody sees there, we were just talking about that budget, so.
Probably add what he was talking about onto there, that 20% or whatever onto this.
Well, I think this budget, we should get the numbers from, what's her name?
Annie.
Yeah,
Annie.
and put them in here.
I get this budget from Jamie.
Okay, so we need to put the budget, we need to put the grant amount numbers in here.
Okay.
And then on the revenue side, we need to put the exact same number so it balances.
Right. Right.
Okay?
Okay. Jamie, did you hear that? I'll talk to him.
Yeah, we'll talk to Superintendent of Schools. Approved. Courtroom grant. We don't have a courtroom grant.
She is going to request, sorry, I forgot to switch that one over. She is going to request $10,460, and that is on the revenue side too.
Yeah, so this will be a push. This will be an in and out.
Well, yes and no. The county would be responsible for, hold on. 25% of that. So we would be responsible for $2,615.
And what's
If
this
we
grant
are,
for?
you'd have to ask Kelly.
Let's put this in review then. So transfer fund balances, this just stays in here because at one point, we went and cleaned up the budget. There had been old balances, funds not used forever. And it took a 3-year process of not being used and documented. So that's why this is here. It stays, right, Sam, it stays on the computer. We haven't done it. We've got everything back.
So if
where it should
anything
be.
ever pops back up, I can come back onto there or whatever and we can straighten it out.
Right, so there was funds created that were never used, or funds created that.
We were
and-
able to
and
switch over.
just the process to fix it was involved, included in the book. So now we're on to Schedule C, page 1. That basically just gives you a breakdown of the,
So those are all your levy sheets.
yeah.
So if you would just keep flipping through those, you'll get to page
There's nothing really we need to look at right yet. We will when we get a little closer down the road. If you get down to,
That's not the thing anymore.
page 7,
Yeah.
Schedule C, page 7.
The road department gets 30 mils.
So let's review that, just because it's more complex, and we'll have to sit down and break that down. And also the county road and bridge revenues, that's
Revenues and
same
expenditure.
thing.
Yeah.
So I'll put a review on that. Expenditures, that's all part of it. Road special projects. Schedule C, page 8. This is an in and out fund that we separated. It's technically still in the road department. We separated it because this is money that we get from federal and state entities. And in order to keep it in the road budget, we would have to create a separate expenditure for it. This way we can just let the fund build up and use it. So we pay for, this pays our cost share on these federal projects.
Yeah, the 20% you're talking about.
And
correct.
30 or whatever it might be. And it just got to be a lot easier to keep it here than have it in the road department, although it has been part of the road department in the past. So I don't think there's any, I think that's just,
Yeah.
can
Well,
be
that's,
approved.
that one I just need to know how much you would like to move over, cause before you guys would move the balance, so then in the past you would have me move the 905, 677, 75, so that then we start the next year with a zero balance.
Which one are you talking about?
You would have me transfer out of the county road and bridge into the road special projects, so that we're not, cause they get 30 mils, and then I wouldn't have to fluff their reserve so big.
Right, so let's just look at that when we review the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we'll review.
In my budget, I put in $60,216.37 for chip sealing, County Road 19, south of Cooper. But looking at it again, it's not in too bad a shape.
No.
So I think we could wait for another
Right,
year, so we could take that.
and that would probably come out of the
60,000.
special, road special projects anyway.
Right now, it's in the outside contractor
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah, but we can probably move it over. So let's look at that when we can devote time to it. Permits. That's fine, as far as I can tell. Anyone got any questions on that? New courthouse tax increase. So, as you see, that's come down a ways because of the refinancing and there's not really much we can do about this at this point.
I do have the schedule, so that is from the schedule.
We're down to what, 9 years left to pay on it, 8 years.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head there.
How long was it originally for, 30?
20.
20.
And, you know, not any, we lucked out when we refinanced it at a real low rate, you know.
Troy did all that work, right?
He did. Yeah. Clerk of Court. This one is a reimbursed account.
It's basically an in and out account, so I
Yeah.
usually try to get that bottom number to be 0. It's just a little funky this year because that revenue didn't come in here.
That's
and I
right.
didn't
So
know
we
about
need
it.
to review this. So what we try to do is the state reviews how much they're gonna pay for clerk of court services based on the amount of work done, and then they reimburse us accordingly. Right now it's at what, 0.4%, 0.4 of one person, I think. They do it in.
Per person?
Per person, yeah. I think it's
So,
point-
how many people in the county, they do it based off how many people are in that county, or what?
No, the amount of work it would take to do it. So would it take one full-time person, or right now, I think it's at only 0.4 of one person to do all the work of the clerk of court.
And that's the one they were trying to
Oh my gosh, I'm so
take it
sorry.
over this last year, you know.
Yeah, but it'll be down to 28,
I
I think.
know,
if
they
they're
didn't,
done
it did fail in the legislature.
now. Right. So let's review that one. 911 coordinator, what in the world's going on here?
Same. The only thing that changed is the salary request. Contract for Java up a little bit.
Okay, so that'll have to lump that with the rest of the salary, so put that on review also. Both those, 12 and 12A.
That's not levy money. 911 is fees, charges.
Oh. Like when you call out 911, they charge you a fee, or what? Or is it just automatically?
It's
On your
on,
phone
it's
bill.
on your phone
Phone
bill.
bill, on your phone bill.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was automatically on there or not, that's
Yeah.
why I asked.
C13 flood control, that's nothing there.
Nothing.
C15 county vehicle replacement, this is the one that,
Well, this last year, we jumped from 20 down to 10, correct? Is that what we did last year in this one? Is it 20?
I think it was 25.
This is this is a patrol vehicle we're talking about, right?
I think so.
The replacement of the patrol vehicle?
so this means, this negative 10 here means it was overspent, correct?
No, you
No.
have 10,000 in here.
Yeah, but we had it, you're supposed to be 20 every year, so every 2 years, we'd have 40,000
Yep, that's
to
right.
go to replace the vehicle.
It was 25, so that you would
Okay.
have 50. Yep.
So can we review that one or whatever, or do something, or?
Well, it's in the sheriff's department.
I know.
So we're gonna have to
Sure,
review it
okay.
at the same time.
That's fine.
We didn't change that policy, so we had a policy in place for replacing vehicles.
Yes, that's what I'm talking
And so
about.
maybe we take it out of there and put it in here,
Yeah.
whatever we need to do. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Flood
How
2000.
many years do we get out of a vehicle? About 4 years, 6 years?
Well, we wanted to base it on mileage,
Yeah.
Oh, mileage, okay.
so that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Oh.
Flood 2019, Wayne, what's, we just got a balance in there?
Shouldn't have.
11,513.86.
2019 has been all paid out.
This was in
I think
actual
2011 had
2022.
Okay, you'll check into those?
some funds.
I
But there's
think
money
I-
in the 2022.
Yeah.
2019 just got paid out this year, right?
19 was all paid out this year.
This year. So that's not reflective in this one.
Yeah.
We got
Right.
some money in 2022 and it was paid out in 2023.
So there's,
2019.
so this balance here
Is
isn't there?
not there.
It's not there,
No.
okay, so that's going to. We don't have an expenditure, it's not gonna make any difference.
No.
Okay. Service area.
Human services,
Human
nothing.
services, nothing there.
Human services, nothing. Nothing.
All the
Until you
human
get
services
to
are still there
emergency.
because we're still, haven't eaten what for 3 years after the original.
I'm gonna
budget.
keep them in there, just.
Um, So fill us in on the emergency fund, Sam.
Emergency, it can only be used for certain things. You're supposed to have, I think, 4 mills in there.
Yep.
Is that correct?
A little, yeah, 4 or 5, yeah.
And so we have that, so then we just put in a $5,000 budget, just that we're able to
And we
spend.
haven't used that for. okay.
Yeah, we've never used it.
This is such a limited use item, I mean, this would be a tornado or something. We never have found a use for it, but we can't get rid of it because it's mandated by Century Code. In fact, we had to build it up because it was way below what it was supposed to be, but it's dead money.
We've used it for.
So we just money that sits in that account, we just
We got a
share
flood,
it
but there
every
wasn't
year.
any disaster coming yet, so
Right.
we raised some roads up,
Right.
but otherwise.
It really doesn't make much sense to, if you spend it, you gotta levy for it anyway, so instead it's just dead money. It never has make any sense, so we'll just accept that and move on. It's absolutely worth nothing. R tax,
Nothing.
and what was R tax, where did that money coming from?
It came from Kelly's, a portion of Kelly's fees would
Yeah.
go into that account, and it could only be used by certain departments.
R tax. Instead of ORU, they put R tax, and it was distributed amongst a couple of the different departments. It's not there anymore.
I was gonna say, it makes no sense, and I see a blank number in front of me, so that's why I was like,
It was it was basically mad money. Well, that's not an exaggeration. That's what it was. Long before my time and anybody else, it existed there for a long time. Document preservation,
This is Kelly's.
that's Kelly's, and that just keeps on going. That can be approved. Here's the veteran service officer, and he's asking for $12,437.
Well, he's asking for 12,645, but with the income,
Yeah.
it'd be 12,437. Yep.
So we've never disputed this. He works for way less. Yes, yeah. So I would recommend that we
may I
just.
ask, what is that exactly?
Veteran service officer, he helps like vets get different benefits,
Okay.
like from the VA and different things. Yeah.
Kind of helps them out in the right direction, get them going. type.
Manages
Helps.
their bus.
And then we share it with, is it
Finley.
Steel, right, or not, or don't we?
No, we don't share him.
We don't share him, but he works between,
The bus was
bus.
originally,
Yeah.
the car
The
was
bus,
originally.
yes.
that's what we should, yeah, okay.
We actually supplied the car for a while, and then they
Okay.
chipped in afterwards.
And we share.
Dennis is a very, very
He's good.
conscientious
Yeah.
about it.
Kabusky?
Kabishka.
Thank you.
Oh, Dennis Kabishka, yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know him.
Schedule
Okay.
C, page 23, County Victims Advocate. That's still money that we try to find a use for. It comes from where?
Fees from Kelly's office for domestic violence,
Yeah. So
and it goes into
That,
these.
that money comes from the court fees. Every
Yeah.
case has a $25
Okay.
victim witness fee on every case that we prosecute. That's part of the mandatory court fees. At some point, I'll have to go through that with Kelly, and we'll probably make a request to donate some of that to the Abused Persons Outreach Center. There's only a few places that money can be spent. It's a statutory fee, and there's very few places that money can be spent. It's to help provide assistance and funding for abused persons centers, such as the one in Valley City, and that's who we utilize in Griggs County.
Special assessments, what happened here? The expense is $10,025. How did it get overdrawn, basically? Well, you'll give you time to, let's review
Well,
that.
just looking at it, I don't have a tax number in there.
No, but it's
but-
calling for a levy of $19,000. And it's only got a expense of $10,025, plus it's got some revenue. But if you look at the,
But we're spending this, and it says we're spending this, and I don't have any tax revenue up
oh, you
there.
missed it here.
So I would have to go back and see where.
But it had a tax revenue, correct? Well, we'll review it, so we don't want to have any spur of the moment things. C25 county agent, this is a huge increase, so we'll put that off until we can review that. The next 3 pages are the expenditures of that, so you can have a look at that over the next 2 weeks and see what you think.
Yeah.
Chemical hazard, Wayne, that's,
Yep.
is that to buying the chemical? Chemical hazard?
Yeah, this.
Okay, so that's part of the weed control,
Yep.
so I think we should approve
That's
that.
just like spray the
Ditches and stuff right
Yeah.
away.
Okay.
Yes, we did have a levy for the special assessments. 10,000.
Yeah,
$10,691.68. So I can get that changed.
okay. So that one, I think there's not much we do with it, just to tentatively approve it. Schedule C, page 28, alcohol monitoring, Wayne's in charge of that, he sits outside the bars.
I have that number in here.
Yeah.
Why didn't it print?
I don't know. What,
Oh, wrong budget.
So what is that exactly?
that's the scram bracelets when they are convicted of DWI, and then the breath tubes, and that's an in and out account basically. What
Just depends on how many people are paying the fees and the fines to have it type of deal.
Yeah, whatever it costs is charged back to the person that's actually having to do it, correct? Correct?
I don't know that.
Jamie?
We're charged a specific amount by the Attorney General's office, and then the tubes cost some money, and we have the bracelet, that stuff costs some money, but it's not a money-making venture. It's the cost just get passed on to the people who have to do it.
Yeah. Schedule C, page 29, weed control, and it goes along with page 29A, weed control. Wayne, what do you tell us about that?
That's mine.
Oh, that's yours, yeah.
That's-
Weed control.
That's mine. But yes, I do ask Wayne about how much he would like for chemical, and he said the 6,000.
6,000, okay. And so this one is all the same, other than the salary will be dependent on what that negotiation goes. So tentatively approve 29A and 29 and 29A if you know one.
The only thing about that is if you guys would like to be able to participate in lap and tag, we do need to be levying 4 mills for this.
Yeah.
In the past we haven't. We don't even levy for it because we did have such a big carryover in there. But now we do not qualify for lap and tag. And those are property owner, if they spray weeds, they can come and get reimbursement for the chemical and stuff.
Oh, so like if he's not able to do it or somebody else does it, they can come to us, say, hey, I spread the weeds.
And
if
I had-
get it
well, I know-
reimbursed.
And then the state pays.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
So-
I had some, last couple meetings here down, we had a Stockman's Association meeting, and some of the guys are talking about that again, it'd be nice to have some cost share on that,
Yeah,
That's, and I
So-
got feedback from these guys down there,
so we have to levy $84,000 in
I know,
order
that's the issue, I
in order
understand.
to give, it really is not cost effective at all. And it's not going onto public lands, it's going onto private lands.
True, I know that, yeah.
And so that's why it's not there, because it's an $84,000 that has to go there, and it just sits there again, nothing to do with it, so. And we weren't having a lot of, participation anyway, hardly, it was the same few people over and over again. If you wanna review that, we can, if you want to just leave it as is, we can go forward here.
Can I do some more checking on it, just to make sure, please?
Sure. I mean, there's gonna be a few people that want it, but
Yeah, I know.
that's not how this works,
Okay.
but we'll put review on it,
Yeah,
all
I'll
right?
go back.
And X, lap and tag, review.
What was that color you talking about, Scott?
It's lap and tag. LA.
Okay.
Lap and tag.
You have to levy 4 mills in order to be eligible to get the return money from the state, and it just doesn't. Leafy spurs, C30. The lap and tag program replaced that, correct?
The what? Leafy
No,
spurs?
The Leafy spurs lap and tag program basically.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that was. It's been gone since I've been here.
Yeah, we've never done any of it. Regional corrections. Looks like there's an increase there, so we'll probably want to talk to Bob or Jamie on that one. Let's review them.
That's for what we pay in fees.
Jail.
The increase is because we took it over.
Yeah. So we'll talk. Domestic violence, there's nothing there.
I'm sure that's part of that account where they say you're paying for the fees or whatever,
On what?
or the victim fees or whatever.
Domestic violence, I think that program was kind of superseded by the prior victims advocate one, I believe. Some of these are in here just.
I don't think we've ever done anything with that one.
Not since I've been here. Would it be possible to take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, that's fine, I'll make a motion to do that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Tranby, second by Avriel to take a 5-minute break. Okay. COVID relief, PSS. So this brings up we've used this money for a few different things, but I attended the senior citizens annual meeting again. And they're well, kind of a short synopsis of this thing. The senior citizens get 2 meals, and originally it was set up years ago to allow them to have a couple clubhouses and kind of manage some of the problems with the senior citizens. Well, it morphed into the ride share and the Meals on Wheels, where those programs should have been a social services or a county-based project. So all the money that the senior citizens, well, not all the money, the 2 meals that the senior citizens were getting went in order to pay the ride share, which is now hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's, the state's involved with it, and the Meals on Wheels program, and the senior citizens now, instead of having a little bit of leisure time, the ones that are involved are having to work in order to run those programs who aren't they're not strictly for the senior citizens. The ride share basically hauls people, anybody, any age, to and from doctor's appointments,
Yeah, I think that's right.
groceries. It's like people's lifeline, and now to the point where we're still lucky to have drivers here. We're going into other counties, and because there's no one to pick these people up. So the last 2 years we've tried to supplement them, because right now they've got some money in the account, but the vehicles and the wages at the midpoint here are up 100%.
Do we, on the vehicles replacement, do they take it out of their budget to replace those vehicles, or how is that done?
No, that is through
The state?
the state and some federal.
Okay, that is, okay.
So-
They're responsible for the salaries and for the maintenance, gas and fuel?
Something, yeah, some of that's reimbursable too. The end result is the 2 mills that, and they're at their maximum, we can't raise
Yeah.
that. The 2 mills that they receive isn't sufficient to run the programs. And so, like this year, out of their $44,000 are gonna get, actually only about 11,000 of it went to the 3 different centers.
Yeah.
The rest of it went to support these programs, and then,
And we gave what, 30,000 each year, or something out of this fund? 30?
yeah, I think so. We'd have to look more, I think, the first year.
Yeah,
And so, right now, they're working, we're working, I'm helping them out. We got permission from the city to sign over that Main Motors lot, the one right to the east of them.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Across from the bank.
Tentatively, then, they had to have that to apply for a grant to put up a building.
Oh,
Right now, they store the vehicles down at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
They have no way to unload and unload. Passengers are out in the cold on the icy streets. The Meals on Wheels they have to walk in. So the building will be like a 60 by 60 building with a door on Main and drive out.
okay.
So they'll be able to load the bus and hopefully a breezeway into the senior citizens, be able to load people in and out. The food will come in, drive inside from the vehicle from Valley City that brings it and get distributed to the
Yeah.
delivery here. And it's probably not gonna be 100% match, but county money, state money, it has to be private funds for the match. So there's gonna have to be a donation drive for that. Nevertheless, they're gonna need help with the rest of managing the services they have. So I expect somewhere in that, that $30,000 or $40,000 of these COVID relief funds would probably have to be,
Go from there again.
hopefully could.
Okay.
Again, it's named senior citizens, but it's really a social services program for everybody. And it's not, but that's how it should be funded too. It shouldn't be on their shoulders, but it is, and there's no getting away, there's no getting that change anytime soon. So anyway, that's goes with the COVID relief, and maybe there's some other uses for that. I think the vest, we're gonna take out this and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we don't need to review it, we just need to, it is what it is. Social Security, I don't think that has
Nothing.
and the IT has nothing again.
No, those all got
Those
pushed
all,
in.
these were some of the budgets that were getting the cleanup process.
And they went into the general fund.
Insurance reserve, the same thing.
Then you go into Schedule E.
Now we go into Schedule E. Now this is the Griggs County Health District.
They just want the same levy that they had the past years. They didn't increase anything.
So we'll have to review our contract with them. So let's review this, and then I don't see any problem with it, but let's review it and have a look at it. Historical Society. So
The things with these though is I don't know what the mill is worth.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
if we
that's-
could budget a little bit higher for these so that then it does cut me off at the max that they're able to have. But if we budget lower, I can't increase it after that. So,
So we've just traditionally on Historical Society, the senior citizens,
the fair.
the fair. We've just given them whatever their maximum mill levy is. And we've made the budget fit that accordingly. So unless somebody has any objections, I think we should just follow that policy, but that's open for discussion.
Good to me.
Okay. Yeah. Fair board too. Okay. JDA, that's one of those cleanup things that's gone.
Water management, they do not want to levy. We have enough funds to get us by.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Ambulance, that's.
Ambulance, they get 1 mil,
They get the 1 mil and here we have it. Okay.
and then the library, I'm still waiting on hers, but they'll get the 4 mils, or should get 4 mils.
Yeah, the library's always been, it's one of those, hardly anybody in between on that. They get 4 mils, which is a lot of money. The problem a lot of people have is there's $100 and some thousand in a checking account that isn't subject to the request. So it's off budget. And so that money never gets used towards the running or the maintenance of the library. It's always tax dollars that get pushed towards it. That's just the way it's set up. It got lumped in with the rest of them as far as giving them the full mills that they asked for, and that's the way it's been. That's all I can say about that.
And then you reach the end.
Keep in mind that without a request, we can't levy anything.
If they don't request more money, we can't levy for it, right?
No, the whole process involves a budget request and turning in a budget in a timely manner. And so without that, we don't have an ability to levy any money.
Have they?
The board met, they approved the budget. I'm just waiting from Lexi. I did reach out to her
Okay.
on Monday, and she said she was gonna get it to me by
And there's
Either
plenty,
that day or
there's plenty of time.
next day. But
So if you look on E1, page 1, it shows you the max levies. So the Historical Society's at a 1/4 mil,
Yeah.
senior citizens at 2, county fair at 3/4, water management at 4. Rural ambulance district, they get their 1 mil, and the rural library district gets 4.
Total, is it 2 and 2 to 4 total? Is that how that works?
correct.
Because the book wheel used to be 2, right? And then
Well,
they
that's
went-
the
yeah, I know.
problem. There is no book and wheel,
I
hasn't
know.
been one for 20 years, and they're still levying for it, and
I remember.
that should be cleaned up. The time we tried to clean it up, there was a major uproar. But we're levying for something that doesn't exist. Miscellaneous, page M2, that just gives you the salaries. And it shows you the increase in this budget here. Without the increase in salaries even being looked at yet, it's already increased $91,000. You don't subtotal general fund.
Where is it? What page you on, John?
I'm on miscellaneous, page M2, general fund
general fund
salaries.
salaries, okay.
Okay, if
Yeah.
you go halfway down subtotal general fund, and you look at the estimated expenditures 2023 was 540,000.
Yep.
Right now, it's the final allowance is what they're asking for, is $631,000, which means an increase of $89,000. And if you just go up and look item by item, you can see where those increases took place. There's the sheriff's department salary budget is going from $174,000 to $260,000. And of course, then below that is reflective of the increased additional costs, the retirement, all the different FICA taxes and everything else that are associated with the increase in salary. Next page, miscellaneous page M3 is the benefits. So it shows you the health insurance, the retirement, the FICA, the job service, and the workforce safety, which is pretty
I
straightforward.
suppose it's percentage too, like the retirement, that's
Yeah,
a percentage on what their pay is, so if we increase their pay, it would increase this too.
that's
or-
correct. So every increase in a salary dollar increases the benefits about 36. You can take it times 1.36. So a $1 increase actually costs $1.36 total. That's not to the penny, but that's
About
pretty
average
close
type
number,
deal.
because it's 52% total, but the health insurance doesn't go up. It doesn't raise as we increase wages, but everything else does.
One other thing that I'd like to just bring up is Dakota Programs is reaching end of life. They are not going to continue on, so we will need to get a new software. We are looking pretty much all of the other counties are going with Tyler Technologies. We reached out to them a while ago to get a quote. They said that they were going to email us back with one. We have not received that yet. We have taken webinars to see how it all works and stuff like that. But we've heard that that's probably the best option. So that expense is not reflective in this budget. But when we get a quote, we'll get that to you.
What's the ballpark figure then, how bad?
Oh, they're expensive.
Great.
All software increases are, but
And it depends on what we use and what we don't. And so, me and Maddie had a conference with them, and some of the things we don't think we really need.
Yeah.
We can kind of do without. So, it's not going to be. We're not wanting the gold package or anything like that. But
and this is a Windows-based software. Because you guys are on DOS now, aren't you? Is it a DOS software
I
you
think
guys are now?
so.
Yeah.
And so they are going to be done in 2025, but we would like to switch over so that it's not,
It takes, I think, can't remember what Kelly said, but months. I think over 8 months just to convert. So that's why we've got to have it
Mm-hmm.
in this year's budget cycle.
Mm-hmm.
and the quicker that we can do it, then, we can have that support and kind of
I know
ease
another
into it.
company that has Dakota Programs that I spoke with, they are going to be transferring their GL first, work with that, and then transfer their tax side.
Mm-hmm.
So we would hopefully maybe do something
Do it in
similar like that.
stages.
Start with one, and then slowly transition into the other one.
Mm-hmm. Add each module as you need to go.
Yep.
We did that at work recently. We had to upgrade our software. And
So this next page, 2017, evidently that's supposed to read 2022, 23.
I don't switch that page at all. I've not used that. Use that page.
Okay. And the same with his final appropriations, budgeted transfers in, total appropriations, cash reserve, and
Yeah, once I hit the library, I kind of,
the rest is autofill.
yeah. The only other thing that I switch is on that miscellaneous M, the constants one. That's where I switch the taxable value and then the Cooperstown taxable value to get the libraries.
Mhm.
But like I've said in the past, this budget spreadsheet is password protected, so it's put in information. Don't switch a bunch of things because then it'll mess with a bunch of formulas and stuff like that. So I leave everything basically the same if possible. So there's not a whole lot of stuff I change.
This spreadsheet was created when Ron was still around.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we spent a couple of years getting it so it, you could plug in the numbers and everything went where it was supposed to. And
Sure.
my input was not on the technology side, so I don't know how to, we haven't changed anything as far as the heading on a lot of it, because
Like
if you
your
open the thing up, it can be a mess. But it works perfectly the way it is now.
like the cover thing, those page numbers I can't say are right because I've never switched them. Things have switched, and I have never made the correction here because I don't touch it.
Yeah. And again, it was an independently built program, and one change here affects 4 or 5 down the road, and vice versa. So it's worked okay for now.
The state has one now online that you can use if you ever needed one to upgrade. It's an Excel spreadsheet, kind of layout with all the formulas and such.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did when we designed this one was we used the paper version that the state had.
And now they upgraded.
And so we used that, Ron did, and created a spreadsheet from that.
I think it looks exactly like this. It's just.
Maybe they.
I shared it. No, I didn't.
Okay, so the next meeting we'll go through the rest of this, and we've just got a lot of work left here to do. As you see, Sam will run this again now. And
Okay, so she'll make the changes and then we just go through next round we'll go through the ones that we need to review or what?
yeah, just keep this with you, the one that you marked, so we can go through what you need to review. And again, we still haven't done anything with how much money do we want to spend. I mean, what we just did here was, we didn't make any, we found a $81,000 mistake in the county's
Yeah.
favor, in the taxpayers' favor, but we're still 300,000 plus whatever, way over. I mean, way over in my estimation. Maybe some people think that.
And this is where we gotta go back, review, talk to heads of departments and figure stuff out, what they want and why they want it type of deal.
It's not a negotiated process.
No, that's what I mean,
it's
have them
between
come
us.
on and explain why they want.
Well, no, it's,
like-
the hard cuts come from us. So they've turned in the budget, here's what they want. And now we have to decide whether that's what the citizens want.
Well, no, but I know you're talking about, talking to the sheriff about his or something like that. That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
the explanation for why did it go up 100%? I mean, that has to be explained. Some of the other ones, we just need to do a little digging into it and see what the changes were. But the ones that we put under review aren't gonna change either, so when she runs a new budget, those numbers are gonna stay there. So we didn't really make any changes here. We just got rid of some that we don't have to look at
Yeah,
again.
okay,
Right.
John, may I ask a question?
Sure.
On the Schedule E, page 1, why isn't, the extension listed with the maximum mills possible on that?
Well, because we don't levy by mills, we levy by, we devise budgets by dollars. The mill is just a way of converting it to the tax on each individual property. So it's never the intention to levy by mill, so we don't say, other than we did with the JDA, or with a few of the different entities that were the Fair Board and senior citizens, but the rest of them and the state requires that it be levied, budget be proposed in dollars, because the value of the mill is always going up. So if you just kept saying, okay, I want 4 mills, well, every year the value of that mill goes up and the budget would go up. So that wouldn't be a true budgeting process. You would, if you're trying to budget, you're trying to spend the money in its most advantageous way, and if you just keep spending more and more and more, that's not a budget, that's just spending money that we don't need to spend possibly, or maybe we do. But that's why, so the county agents is a completely different deal because it's shared with the state. And the request there is that of both, but the state doesn't dictate what the county spends. The county, the way it's supposed to work is the county is supposed to arrive at a dollar figure they'll spend on the county agent, give that to the NDSU, and then NDSU is supposed to come back with the proposed salary and budget. And so we need to, that's one thing we need to look at is NDSU doesn't get to set any of our levies. They are not elected by the citizens of Griggs County. We are. So we tell NDSU what we're willing to spend, and then NDSU makes changes accordingly. Whether they add more money into the budget to cover what was asked for, or whatever might happen, I don't know. But we need to review the contract. Next time we meet, I'd like to have the contract, Samantha, between NDSU and Griggs County,
Okay.
and make that part of the budget.
That's the NDSU-based policy right there. And, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to, if you want my feedback, I won't be able to be at the next meeting because I have a fair going on. So.
And you were asking Schedule E?
But I'm still asking, I thought when you guys went through some of these that you just, like the library, got their maximum mill.
No, we put that one for review. What we have made policy is we're going to levy in dollars to the maximum mills for the senior citizens and the fair, because they had no way of producing a budget. And is that the correct way to do it? Probably not. But we produce the budget for them. And it's a quarter mill, it's 2 mills is the highest one. The water board has been taken out of that. They were a 4 mill, so they have to produce a budget now. And it was just the very minor ones that were basically charities or public organizations. So everything else is done with a budget asking for dollars. The dollars then converted to mills.
But does Josh and Rod understand that extension can go up to 4 mills? And that's just what I was wanting to know, is whether the max mills is.
Yeah. And you realize that we're already faced with a budget overrun of 30%, and all this has to be taken into account.
I understand that.
Okay, so we'll move on. That'll be for the next meet. We've got to a point now where it will be less work to go through this again. We've made some concessions here, but not, in my estimation, not anywhere nearly enough. But let's move on with that.
What's our deadline on this?
We have 2 more times,
Okay.
right? 2 more meetings, Sam?
July 6th and July 20th.
So we have to have it done by the end of July then?
Yes. Because then I start
See, and that's why I
estimating
wasn't
tax.
sure if we had a deadline or not.
Yeah, I start estimating tax
Because,
payments in
so,
August.
well, maybe, yeah, so the process will be when we finally come to an understanding of what we're gonna spend, Sam will run the final numbers. It will put forward a levy number, a number we're going to tax the people. Then we will send that out. We will send out tax statements showing everybody what it's gonna cost them this year. And at the end of that whole process, we have a meeting where the public is invited and to make comment. And at the end of the meeting, we can make changes to the budget, only down, we can't raise it. And then we will approve that budget. Once that budget is approved, then it becomes next year's budget.
Typical, it's October something, right, the last date? October something.
September 21st?
October.
I'm sorry, what was the
The
question?
tax meeting, the final tax meeting?
That is in October.
October.
October 5th will be your budget
Okay.
hearing.
So that's how that process works.
Excuse me.
I can smell the cucumbers over here.
Mhm.
I know I could smell when she walked in, I'm like. why
So-
can't it be clean?
Anyway, if everybody's on board, we can move on. If there's more budget things to talk about, we will.
No, yeah.
Hopefully, we remember the questions that need to be asked, and we'll be good from
And
there.
like, so we can go through page by page, and then like you said, some of these
Yep.
heads, hopefully they show up and they can, like you said, give us a reason for.
Typically, the way the process works is we say here, like I said, we still need to decide how much money we want to levy. Do we want to raise their taxes, lower them, or to keep the same? Because without that guidance, we don't have any way of adjusting these budgets. Sheriff's protective vest,
Yeah, just, we can either table it till next, when he shows up, or just, I think he had a budget item in the last budget for like 4,000. I saw that in there, you know.
well, just make note
You
that,
wanna just put it-
make note no matter what we do that budget, the vest needs to stay in it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got
that's
it.
fine. That's, yeah.
In the past, you guys have taken most from the COVID funds.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
If we
Yeah,
wanna
yeah.
Yep.
So,
just give him the authority right now to do that. this
yeah,
year.
we can do that.
I think we told them to go ahead and get the vest
Yeah.
at the last meeting.
No, we didn't, we didn't. No, just, we want a price tag first, of how much it would cost us.
Mhm.
But maybe,
He
wanna
was
just-
gonna look into that, I think.
we maybe just make a motion, like give them for enough to, like say 4,000 or something for the vest or whatever, or, you know, or not.
Well, we can't approve
We
an
can't.
unknown
Unknown
amount.
numbers, I know.
Yeah.
So we just want to label this.
He said he had a vest, that's right. We said.
He had one, but
He had
he
one, but it
like a
wasn't-
new one.
It
Right,
wasn't
there
a
we
new
go,
one.
okay.
That's correct.
So we'll wait to hear from Bob on what he
Okay.
wants to do. County website, I'm not sure what this is.
So the county website, I sent out,
You know, I got on, you know, that part, I got the, on documentation on the female stuff comes across, the 3 different bids, right?
2. Oh, yeah, the 2 and then
I see,
Travis.
almost, I see.
There were so many pages,
Yeah,
so
that's
I
why I
didn't,
didn't see
I
that
didn't
right
copy
here.
them,
That's
so
fine.
they're right here.
Okay.
Well,
If
let's
you
put
wanted-
this, Travis needs to be here to explain
Yeah.
this to us.
Okay.
Put it on next meeting. Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Steph,
I talked to Lorna, who wonderful help she is. She stated that if we want to do the our mitigation to take the courthouse down, then we would update the National Registry. Other than that, you do not need to update National Registry to apply for grants or anything else. It is merely for the sole purpose of
Taking it down.
approving it to be, having them to approve it to take it down.
Mm-hmm. So then, the logical next step in order for us to make a decision is to see what grants are available, correct?
yeah, or,
I mean, so what happens if there's a bunch of grants available and it'll keep it going for a while? Or, you know,
I know.
So how do we do that? Do we make a motion to see what's available for grants, or what do we do about that?
well, the State Historical Society should be on board with that, I believe, if we told them that we were interested in what grants are available. I mean, that's their whole purpose. They're the ones that are
Wanting us
in
to
conjunction
keep it.
with us, are they're trying to preserve it.
I asked her what people tend to do with an old courthouse like this, and she said people have converted them to into museums or apartments or, you know, things like that. That's what people have done with them. Or like a Airbnb or, you know, some historical thing. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money.
So would it be, I ask you to ask her what grants are available?
I can ask her I can email her and ask her if there's grants to.
Yeah, what are our possibilities?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to,
It's a nice thought to do that, but, you know, that thing's got a lot of pestis and everything else in it, you know,
Well, maybe there's grants for that too.
and,
but I mean, faced with the alternative of trying to come up with
$1 million at least.
Well,
Throw out a number, I don't know what it is.
Here's the thing, if we decide, if it somehow down the road decide to take the courthouse down, we're gonna have to for years start putting a little bit of money away to meet that goal.
Or put a bond issue, right?
You
said that
can't,
last time.
so
Has to be a
remember,
bond.
you can't budget
Yeah. Be a bond.
past 1 year. You can't, there's no say, there's
Pretty
no,
much
but
we would have to have some kind of election, whether take it, we'd have to get quotes,
A
you said,
bond.
right?
A bond.
On a cost, and then we would have to have an election whether to take it down or keep it, right?
so the process would be, we would have to come up with a cost
Yep.
for the whole project. Then we'd have to put it to the public, whether or not they would approve a bond, us borrowing the money to do it. Takes a 60% approval vote to do that. And then you could move forward and because that bond issue vote, if it was approved, would give you the ability to levy every year, just like the courthouse. Now, more than likely, that if you put $1 million proposal out there, probably that's gonna get struck down.
Probably.
And then your hands, then there you sit.
Yeah.
You know, so there is no good answer to this. Other than somebody coming and buying it and wanting to take care of it for us,
Yeah.
okay?
Good with that.
But it wouldn't hurt to try to see if we can find a,
They've been doing it with old schools and everything. and-
Yeah.
That's true, they did it, Norm School, they did that. Norm School is fantastic.
yeah.
They put a lot of money in that thing too.
I wired the gym, and trust me, I did the after.
Really? Okay.
Okay,
And I wasn't part of when they restored the building, but when they did the gym, they did a lot, and trust me, to make it work and to make it what they did an amazing job.
okay, future business.
At the 2024 budget, I have the protection vest
Kind of website again. With
website.
Travis here, I'm guessing.
Okay,
Sheriff's vest, I
Yeah.
suppose.
got that.
So my question on that is, I know you were saying about having some of these heads come here and explain or something like that, like you were saying, about why it's so much over. Is that something we have to put in there to send out to have them show up, or what do we do on that?
I'll just send out an email.
You send out an
Yep.
email, okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
We need to do sales tax ratio.
Move into
we
that.
need to do that in the county tax equalization
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
So, I guess I would ask to adjourn this
That would be
meeting.
me.
We have a motion by Tranby to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Edlund. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Uh,
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned at 5:44. Next meeting Thursday, July.
4:44.
4:44. Thursday, July 6th at 2:30 in this room. At this point, do you want to take a 5-minute break and then reconvene the tax equalization? Or do you want to go right into it? There's not much there.
yeah, we can.
Rod thought we were done.
Hmm?
Rod thought we were done.
I thought that.
He was like gone.
Done.
Long enough.
Hello?
Hi, Rod. We're gonna move into tax equalization now.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
So, this is reconvening the tax equalization meeting. We'll take roll call. Avriel?
Here.
Tranby?
Here.
Zorn?
Here.
Edlund?
Here.
And Wakefield's here. Sales ratio study, I think, is what was one of the agenda items here, and also Grant Stangland, and he called me and said he wasn't gonna be able to make the meeting and to put his request on hold, so that's been taken care of. The sales ratio study, I went through and read the guidance from the state. I guess I don't know exactly how Stephanie handled all that, and until we see that, I guess we should probably notify the state that to hold on to the sales ratio study until we can go through and determine what or if there's any changes.
It's due by the end of this month, until by June 30th.
Yeah, it is, but it's at least until we can determine what was sent in and what information was used to arrive at those numbers. I don't feel comfortable allowing that to go forward, and I don't think anybody else should either. It's pretty complex how the whole process is supposed to play out, and just from the questions I asked last meeting, I don't think that the individual transactions were scrutinized to the extent they should have been. In fact, I know they weren't, because you mentioned that you didn't even have the names of the people involved in the transaction, and it's very explicit that the...
Yes, I did.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood you then. But I asked, and I think the citizens have the right to see the work papers from how this was arrived at. And if it was all done according to how it's laid out by the state, then I think we are go ahead and approve it. But we need to be able to see that, because no matter who did it, a tax director or Steph or me or you or anybody else, we have to be able to see the work papers and how the numbers were arrived at, because it's us as a board that okays it. And without having the ability to look at how it was done, how are you supposed to approve it?
I sent that information to Sam. She's got them. The list of sales with their names on, the Excel spreadsheets I got from Kelly, and the BX that was sent into the state.
And then there's a whole formula on if you reuse previous sales, and what has to happen is that previous sale, the value has to be brought up to today's value, so you don't actually use it twice. So there's no way that assessment could have been done, because you did this before the numbers from Cooperstown anyway had been put into the system. Because of course, if let's say you use a sale that shows that it's 15% below market value, and you use that twice, what happened? Now that one sale affected it by 30%. If you use it 3 times, it's affected by 45. So so what happens is, if you back it up 1 year and you used it, that raised, say a sale that was used in 21 raised the value in 21. Now you went back and used it again in 22. Now it raised it in 22. Was used to raise it in 22. If you use it in 23, it's used to raise it in 23. So you got a threefold effect from one sale. And that can't happen, of course. Why wouldn't you just use a sale 3 times in the current year?
But don't they usually, isn't the reason they do that, they don't have enough, they're trying to get enough, how am I gonna put it, a good number, of sales, you follow me?
Well,
I mean,
but there's a formula.
I
There's a
know,
formula to
yeah.
bring that up. So,
Yeah.
so the value of it 3 years ago is different than the value of it today.
Today, yeah.
And so you have to bring both those up. You just don't use that old number and say, okay, it sold for $100,000 3 years ago, but we've increased the valuations over the last 3 years, and now it would have had a valuation of $150,000, but we used the valuation when it sold of $100. So now it's sold $50,000 under, where it's probably only $10,000 under if you brought the formula and brought it forward. it's a pretty complex, equation that you have to use, and it has to be done after the valuations for the state are already, for the city and the residences are already put in. So they raised 77 properties in Cooperstown. Was one of these properties one of them that was used in the sales ratio study and already accounted for? Don't know. The other thing that what we're doing here is when you're artificially affecting two classes of property. So if you raise the residential property, you effectively lowered the agricultural property. Remember, it's a pool you take out of. So let's just say that right now the tax base is 60% of the tax base is paid by ag, and the 60% is based on valuation. So they're let's just say it's $6, $2, and $2 as far as residential, commercial. If you raise the value of residential and commercial, now that lowers the burden on agricultural, and vice versa. If you were raise the value of agricultural way up, it would lower the burden. So you're transferring the tax burden in doing this from agricultural to residential and commercial. And so there's a whole list of things that have to be done, and we didn't have the time to do it. And not Steph's fault, nobody's fault, but we didn't have the time to do this the way it was supposed to be done, nor have we ever, even when we had a tax director here. But you heard from one of the biggest employers in the county how they thought about it. You heard about what the county commission, one person thought about it. I'm quite sure that what the rest of the citizens think about it is probably in line with that. What bothers me a little bit is why. I think we all know why, and this was a left-handed way of raising money to the school. And if the school wants more money, they have the ability to take to the public and ask for a mill levy increase. The way to do it is not to raise the valuations. The way to do it is to have the school take it to the public and say, we want our mill levy increased. And the reason I know this is because you stated it last year on why, and you always wanted a more than 90%. And besides that, the superintendent was sitting there at the meeting last meeting. So anyway, if that is really the case, I can't prove it. That's not the way to increase money to the school. The way to increase money to the school is to put it on an election and ask the citizens whether or not the school can have more mills. Because by raising the valuations, you not only gave the school, but you gave every taxing entity in the county, including the state, more money. The state has two mills that they levy against the county, and now you increase the price of that also. So everybody then has a bite at the pie. For what purpose? And who benefited? Did the citizens benefit from any of this? So
I have one question.
You do?
So you're accusing me of cooking these numbers to benefit the school?
I think the motivation was to raise the valuation. I think the motivation was to raise the valuation just as it was last year, and the same as you never wanted it at 90%. You always wanted higher than that. I don't know if I don't know what the intent was, but you tell me what the intent is. You tell me what the intent was and how what you're trying to do benefits the citizens, and then I'll take you at your word.
The intent was for what? How these numbers came out to be?
Yes. So why can't we see how you got to those numbers?
I didn't hide anything. You have them,
No,
John.
you had the work paper. No, the work papers. You come and explain to us how you did it. You did it. She didn't do it.
No, I sent it to her. She sent it to you.
We need the explanation, Steph. Walk us through how you did it. Let's take one of these transactions and you walk us through how it was done. Is there? I mean, Well, the citizens aren't entitled to that? When the tax director does it, that's exactly what we did. Okay, why did this take place? How did you arrive at these numbers?
Okay, I filled out the Excel spreadsheet as see fit to the best of my knowledge and moved on. And these are the numbers that it came out to be. That is exactly how it went.
But that isn't how it's described in how this whole thing is supposed to be done. Have you read this circular that comes from the tax department? Probably not. I have. And it's a very complex operation. From the North Dakota Tax Department, it's 18 pages. It outlines the whole process of the sales ratio study. And I don't understand exactly how to do it because it is very complicated and it involves a lot of work that you weren't expected to do, couldn't do, I couldn't do. But nevertheless.
But if we had a tax director to do it, it would have been done.
And didn't you talked to this, you had the state help you on this, correct, Steph? Quite a
Yes,
bit.
I did.
Yeah, so
I had the state help.
Then I don't deny the fact that you might have the state help you. What I'm saying is, in order to be sure that everything was done correctly, in order to answer everybody's questions, we need to walk through the process and how this was done. And we need to compare it to how it's supposed to be done. There's a checklist here. It's not hard, it's time consuming, but it's not hard to follow the checklist. Were these qualifying properties? Each property has to be subjected to that checklist of 23 items. Mm-hmm. If you can't definitively answer those questions, the property is not qualified. Did you do that on every property? Don't know. Did you adjust properties that you used once, twice, or 3 times for the time, how far back you went? Were those adjusted? I don't know that. If they were, fine. If they weren't, then that's something that has to be done. But to say no, I'm not going to show you, of course, is going to want me to ask more questions because I'm asking the questions for the citizens. What are we? The results of this are going to be devastating to the taxpayers in Griggs County. And for the life of me, when we get into these tax issues, I always want to ask the question, no one answers it. When you want to raise taxes, what's the benefit? What's your purpose? There has to be a purpose to raise taxes. I wish someone would answer me.
It's usually to benefit the people of the county.
Yes. And who gets to decide the benefit?
We do.
No, they do.
Well,
we just speak for them.
I see what you're saying.
We just speak for them. We don't decide to benefit. We can't say, well, giving you another sheriff's deputy in a patrol car is going to benefit you. No, they get to decide. They are the ones that tell us whether that was a benefit or not. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But all these decisions to cost the taxpayer money have to be the decision of the group, and they have to be reflective of the citizens that you represent. But most importantly, it involves information that can be relayed to all of us. I don't think it's asking too much to see how we arrived at this.
So you want to, for right now, you want to, I guess my question, how do you want to move forward on this? You know, she did all the work. I mean, you want to go through all these individually again, or what? Or what's your?
Well, shouldn't we be able to see the work? Shouldn't we be able to? I mean, can't we take one of them and 2 of them and 3 of them and walk it through? But for right now, if we don't do anything, we're going to see the state follow through with this, and those values are going to become hard values, and it's going to greatly impact the taxpayers. Not only, I mean, we're talking about raising our taxes 23% here. Throw this in there. Throw another 17% on top of that. If you don't understand the severity of this, this is for what purpose? I want to know the purpose. What purpose does it do? What benefit does it do the citizens that you represent? If you can't sit here and say, okay, here's why we're doing it, here's the benefit, do you think the people we're taking tax dollars from are just going to say, yeah, just go ahead, we understand? Of course they're not. They shouldn't, and we shouldn't expect them to. So I'll show you another error. I requested the Lakeshore property, the increases that the state has made to Lakeshore property from Samantha. Didn't get it. You know why? Because it's never been a category in Griggs County. From the very start, it's never been a category. It's been lumped together with the other properties. So if residential goes up, it goes up at Red Willow, it goes up at Binford, it goes up at Hannaford, it goes up at Cooperstone. It goes up at your place in the country. They're all lumped together because there's not enough sales in order to do one study, let alone 5 or 6 of them. So again, what's the purpose? If you can't explain the purpose and you can't explain why we did it, then we shouldn't have been doing it. And that's just simple facts. I mean, any time, speak up and tell me what the purpose of it is, and maybe it's a good purpose. But forcibly taking money from somebody doesn't seem like a very equitable way to run a county, or very beneficial to the people that live in that county. So I think we need to, at least as a courtesy, notify the state that we are reviewing the sales ratio study, and we'll either get back with them and say it's okay to go ahead with it, or we'll have to do something else. But to let this stand and raise these valuations, you know what it's going to do.
So when it's supposed to be done June 30th, right? Yeah.
And if you want to, this has been submitted to the state. I'm not even sure if the state will allow you to
Review it or change it.
send it back, because that had a due date too.
Well, that'd be convenient, wouldn't it? Being we didn't give you the permission to send it to the state. You didn't have
to send it to get this number, John.
You didn't have permission to send it to the state. You didn't go through the usual channels, which is bring it to the county commission and then to the auditor, who actually sends it to the state. You chose to do it. You chose to do it on your own, and you were not given permission to do it. And there's no denying that fact. And now you seem happy that it might have to stay in there.
I think you're misunderstanding how during the report, when we review it, when I bring the numbers, that little report that Sam would bring, that's because you uploaded it to the state. The process didn't go, we reviewed my work, then uploaded it. It was, got the BX, we sent it in,
Again,
we uploaded it,
Did
and
you
then
do
that's
any of
where
that?
these
Did
numbers
you do any
go.
of that? No, you just turned it in. And then you seem gleeful that we might not be able to change it, which further enforces my point of view that there's ulterior motive here.
I'm just saying, if we had I don't take kindly to your accusations there, John, so.
Well, that's fine. This is not, we're not supposed to be buddies. We're supposed to each stick up for what we believe is correct and what the citizens believe is correct. And if I would have done something without your consent, you would have been all over it.
Yeah, but John, we asked you if you wanted to do it.
Remember correctly, I asked you. I asked the commission.
Yeah, but
Do I have permission to do this? And Stephanie piped up, we'll get the recordings, and said, I've already done it.
I already had it done.
And that's exactly how it went.
Because I knew it was.
Because I would have done it exactly like I'm talking about. I would have went and reviewed it. I would have brought it to you, and I would have said, here's the work. Here's each one of them. What do you think? Because I can't make a decision. Steph can't make a decision. We all can make a decision.
You don't get these numbers, though, until it's. But regardless, John, whatever, if you want to contact the state and discuss this with them, you go ahead.
I don't have the ability.
I have done what I want to do.
I don't have the ability to contact the state and discuss it with them any more than you had the ability to contact the state and discuss it with them. It has to be as a group.
So how do we fix this then?
I would just like to send them a letter saying we are reviewing the 2023 sales ratio study. Please hold off until we get back to you. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And I think we need to review it. But it appears like this was sent in and to try to not give us any choice. to be gleeful about the fact that we can't change it is just, it makes me sick to my stomach.
I am not gleeful, John.
Sure sounded like it.
The reason she did it before, she did it the year before.
I did it 2 years before. This is my 3rd year doing this.
So you had the experience of doing it.
And this is
That's
the
why
first year that John's ever wanted to see details of the work.
You brought it to us and you told us what the numbers were and you asked us if it could be turned in. And what made this again,
Before when you upload it, then you get that thing before you submit it. So then we've always done like a screenshot of that before we've actually submitted it. So we've done like a fake upload, got those numbers, and then submitted them afterwards.
Right.
Yep.
But you can do an upload many times over.
Yep. And then you'll
Before.
get those numbers. You'll get those numbers.
As long as it's in by that due date.
the county isn't even required to do a sales ratio study. We don't use sales ratios for our equalization. It's only the state that uses that. We don't use a sales ratio study at all. That is for the state. The state has the ability to come in here and do this. They just want us to do it for them. Read the whole section on what the county is responsible for as far as equalizing properties, and it does not mention a sales ratio study. Not one paragraph, not one word, because it's not ours. That's for the state. That's part of their equalization. Our equalization involves the assessors going out and assessing the properties and then turning those values in, and that becomes the values for the next year. So the sales ratio study is not ours. And maybe Steph can find it for me, but I haven't found anything in the Century Code that mandates us that we do it for the state. Now the state has taken it into their own hands and tries to make us mandate it, but for many years there wasn't sales ratio studies done in Griggs County. Not when I was a commissioner, but before that, when we look back, there was many years there was never one done. The state came in and did it. Because it doesn't affect our equalization whatsoever.
I have done all I'm going to do with this. Anything further, I will not.
So you won't help us analyze it.
John, you have the information to analyze it. Review
I don't
it.
know you're thinking. I don't know.
Read
you're
the
thinking.
people. You can figure it out just like everybody else. Review it.
How
you have the information.
How did you arrive at an individual number? How did you say these 25 commercial properties all? Did you go through and check the box on all the different?
It's an Excel spreadsheet. You up and you looked at every single box and you check the boxes and you go through it and
You asked the questions
the
about whether it was
numbers
a
in.
closed family sale or
Yep.
whether it was.
Sure.
And where did you get that information?
Yes.
Where did you get that information?
Some I knew. Some I called. Some I had to call.
You knew for all 25 of those sales all the specifics of the sale.
So I mean,
Well, if you knew
I
that,
did it to the best of my knowledge,
if you
John.
knew that, then bring that to us and show us that.
You have it in the Excel spreadsheet that Sam sent you. Open up your phone and look at it.
All I have is what you came up with. I don't know how you got there.
You have all the paperwork
No.
sent to you. This number here is a
I
calculated formula. You have the
I kn-
spreadsheet that
And
figures it out.
so do you have all the different questionnaires for each piece of property?
Absolutely. Look at your spreadsheets that you have sent. I know you reviewed them.
I haven't looked at it.
I've sent.
It's
Well,
not-
Sam
it's
has
not-
sent it to you
it's-
now.
it's-
You can review it to your heart's pleasure, John. That's
Steph,
you can
you're
do.
missing the point. It's for all of us.
Yes.
And
I didn't cook numbers as far as what you're trying to speculate. I filled this out to the best of my knowledge and as good as I possibly can. Yes, the market's hot right now. House sales
The sale market,
are
that's
so
correct.
high.
That's correct.
And our assessments, we don't have an assessor. Assessments haven't been done on a lot of these places, so they're low. Are we equalized in the county? No, we are not. And we completely see it here. So what happens when the sales market's high and the assessments are low? You get numbers like this. Am I cooking it? No. Did I throw out ones that qualified to what I believe qualified? Yes, I did.
Well, let's see that then.
You have the spreadsheet, John. What do you want me to do, bring the spreadsheet here? Because you have it.
Absolutely.
Review it
Sit down and go over this with us.
You can look at it, John. I am not going to review it with you.
It doesn't, it's not me, it's everybody. We have to make a decision. We have to vote on whether or not this is what the county is putting forward. It's not what you put forward.
Okay, you guys have the information. Feel free to review it and call me with questions. I am not going to sit here and go line by line with on every single one of them.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to contact the state. If you would like to contact the state, John, and state that you're not going to fill out the rest of the paperwork and submit it by June 30th, you surely can.
Do you listen or not? I don't have the ability to. I am one person. The commission has the ability to as a group. Same as the commission has the ability to say, yes, we agree with this, or no, we don't agree with it, or we need more time to figure out what to do with it. That's how it works.
I am not going to approve making a letter and send it out to the state. Nor am I going to make a motion for that. And no, I don't like the numbers. I filled them out to the best of my knowledge. And yes, we need to move them up to 90% if we're going to make them to work. Because that's what this is going to be required.
So does everybody feel fine with letting these numbers go forward? We got everybody in the line yet?
Oh, we have Rod on here.
Because if you don't, and when these tax increases come into effect, you're going to have to answer to the people that it's affecting, and it's going to affect everybody. And I know for one, I can't answer whether or not this was done correctly. And if we can fix any part of it to the benefit of the citizens of Griggs County, the citizens of Griggs County are better off. If we can't, we can't. But we don't have much choice here. To let it go forward now that the poison pill's been put into the system, it's going to run its course, and those tax increases are going to be invoked. And I won't be a part of that, of course, but my one vote isn't going to make any difference. So by not taking any action, you're voting to let this go forward.
I had a gentleman from up on Main Street talk to me that would listen to our last meeting, and he was saying that he doesn't know how he can afford with the specials that have gone on Main Street, and now with the taxes being raised in his house and his business, he was pretty fearful of the fact that if these taxes would go up, and that, I'm not saying, if we're forced to, if it is correct and we have no other choice, but if I agree, if there is a choice, I think we need to do everything we can.
Yeah, I don't see the downside to looking at it to work and making sure that everything is done correctly. I can't envision a downside to that.
Right.
So in order to move forward, we need either a motion or not a motion. And if we don't do anything, it's pretty well set in stone. And again, we don't have a way to change it once we accept this.
Well, I would make a motion that that we write the letter to the state and see, and give us some time to go through it and do everything we can for the citizens.
We have a motion by Zorn to collectively send the state a letter saying that we need to review the sales ratio study that was turned in, and asking for more time. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Avriel. Just to keep this on the record, I think we'll have a roll call vote on this. Probably further discussion, I think, in order to get the wording correctly, we should have Jamie, have the state's attorney word the letter. And,
I can draft something, today or tonight, it wouldn't be until tomorrow, I guess. But I can draft something and get it sent off to everyone, but in order to okay it, we would have to call a quick special meeting.
okay. So, then, yeah, I mean, all we're asking for is more time and to hold off until we evaluate where we stand. So we have a motion, we have a second to that effect. We'll have to have a real short special meeting in order to approve or disapprove sending it in once we see what the language looks like. For now, we'll have a roll call vote. Avriel. Tranby.
Aye.
Zorn.
Aye.
Edlund.
No.
Wakefield votes aye. Approved. That's probably the end of the tax equalization meeting, but we're not gonna close it,
Do you
of
want
course.
to do all those changes?
Well, we may as well review the changes when we. We approve the changes, we may as well do that when we close the meeting. We're not closing the meeting yet,
No.
right?
Oh,
Well, wait, but we have till we have to close it by the end of June 30th or not?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
There's no closing.
Oh,
When do we have to have the letter in by then? Or by June 30th then, you think, or?
well, I think we can probably just call a special meeting to just, and do it over the phone. It's all it is you'll get to see the letter, and then I'll just vote on whether or not that's the language you want to use and whether to send it in. And that special
She'll
meeting.
send us an email, the letter probably.
Yeah, well, the same format of not to share it with anybody and not to talk about it with anybody else, so we talk about it in the meeting. So we need a motion to recess the tax equalization meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Tranby to recess the tax equalization meeting. Second by Avriel.
I'll second.
Okay. We're in recess. That should be everything.